Did you ever stop and ask yourself, why is it that some people are more successful than others? Why is it that some people make more money, live longer, have better relationships, while the great mass of men, as Thoreau said, live lives of quiet desperation? When I was 15, I set out on a lifelong journey to find the answer to that question. Why are some people more successful than others? You see, when I was growing up, my family never seemed to have enough money. My parents grew up during the Depression, and I heard the same things over and over again throughout my childhood. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. I don't know if you heard that when you were growing up. It seemed to be the national anthem. I was not a great student. I passed out of high school when I was 18. I say passed out because, rather than graduated, because that's what happened. I passed out in the half of the class that made the top half possible. Here in the same half. The person in front of me on the stage and the person in back of me received diplomas, and I got a leaving certificate. When you open it up, it says goodbye. Anyway, since then, I've traveled and worked in more than 80 countries on 6 continents. I've sailed on all the great oceans. I've been around the world 2 or 3 times. I became fluent in French, German, and Spanish, as well as learning to get along in several other languages. When you need to eat, you learn. Anyway, I started off as poor as I could be, searching for the secrets of success. And over the years, I've read and studied for over 30,000 hours in business, economics, psychology, philosophy, religion, metaphysics, and history to find the secrets of success. And I'm happy to say that I eventually found the answers I was looking for. Today, I live in a $1 million house on a golf course in Southern California, and I have business interests in 9 countries. Today, I know and I've proven that success in any field, including this field, is as predictable as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. And my purpose in speaking with you today is to share with you some of the most important things I've ever learned. However, as Aristotle once said, you can't teach a person something that they don't already know. You're already high achievers and great successes in your careers. You're already the cream of your profession. So many of you already know what we're going to talk about, and the rest of you will recognize these principles as soon as you hear them. About 5 years ago, I met a wise and wealthy man who had spent his entire life studying success. And he'd reached a clear conclusion concerning the reason for success in life and especially in business. He's dead now, but I'll never forget what he told me, because I immediately recognized that he put the finger on my reason for success and yours, as we'll talk about in a minute. He said the key to success was to set a goal and then to stay with it until you achieve success in at least one important thing. He said that your subconscious mind will then accept that success experience and store it as a pattern, like a template. And then from then on, your subconscious will drive you and direct you and guide you to repeat the pattern of success in other things that you attempt. Another way of saying it is that nothing succeeds like success. Psychologists have demonstrated that achievement brings you a natural high. Once you've experienced your first great success, then not only are you unconsciously programmed to repeat it, but nothing else will ever give you the same wonderful sense of satisfaction.
Number one reason for success is people focus on things that have high potential consequences. Number one reason for failure is people focus on things that have low or no potential consequences. Exactly what Joe was saying earlier, the famous Drucker quote, very worst use of time is to work intently on something that need not be done at all. And one of the things that is holding back entrepreneurs, business owners, it's killing them, by the way, and it's wiping out an entire generation, is this obsession with technology. I see people that are walking with their phone. It's almost like drug addicts that are mainline. They cannot stop staring at their screen. They cannot stop pushing their buttons. The fact is that this obsession with looking at the screen and staying connected is killing people because it stops them from focusing. You cannot focus if you are distracted like an attention deficit disorder dog. So you're constantly ringing and responding to bells almost like a crazy person in a toy factory. If thinking is the most important thing you do, because of the consequences of thinking determine the entire quality of your life, then the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. And so the more time that you spend thinking and thinking well and thinking clearly, the more successful you are. Over the years, I've worked with some very powerful people, billionaires and multi-billionaires, people who are on the Forbes 400 list repeatedly, over and over. And I've had a chance to be with them during crises and at times where something was happening that was serious. It was a major problem. And I noticed that they all had one quality in common, is they all went calm. People around them were angry and upset and worried about what happened and who did it and so on, and they would just go calm, almost like, and they knew. And I learned later, I didn't know why this was, I admired it, but I didn't know why it was, is that when your mind is calm, your entire cerebellum, the thinking and deciding brain, functions at its highest level, like turning up all the lights on a dimmer switch. It's functioning like a Christmas tree. But when you get upset and angry, what happens is your thinking reverts to your limbic or emotional system, and your ability to think clearly diminishes dramatically, and you make a lot of mistakes. That's why when you are facing a difficult situation, you have to use every skill, trick, game, whatever it is, stay calm. And that's why they teach you to meditate. And they find that meditators in business are far more successful because they can automatically trigger their mind into the calm of meditation when they're facing a crisis. It enables them to think with greater clarity. The biggest problem that people have is that where they should use slow thinking, they use fast thinking. And entrepreneurs are extremely guilty of that. Is we make important decisions that have long potential consequences, including affecting the lives of people and costing money and even leading to the bankruptcy of a business. We make those decisions with fast thinking when in reality we should be making them with slow thinking. I'm a great Drucker fan, as many people are, and Mike was saying something about hiring the right people, and hiring the right people to work with you is very important. And the biggest mistakes you make is hiring fast. You hire people quickly. The best decisions you make are where you really take your time to hire slowly. And Peter Drucker said that fast people decisions are invariably wrong people decisions. Hiring an important person for an important job has tremendous potential consequences. So therefore, you need to take a long time. The longer that you take to make an important decision, the better the decision will be, the higher quality decision. And Lord Acton once said, when it is not necessary to decide, it is necessary not to decide. In other words, buy as much time as you can for a decision. Put it off. If you can put it off for a day, a weekend, a week, a month, put it off. Some of the best decisions that you make will be decisions that you will allow to steep for a while, like water in tea. So thinking is the most important thing you do. We call it thinking fast and slow. So remember, anything that is important that has long-term consequences is a candidate for slow thinking. Discussing it with other people, sitting quietly, going for a walk, letting it ruminate in your mind, sleeping on it.
You know, the master key to riches is self-discipline. And what we have found is that the most successful people have come to that conclusion as well, is that self-discipline is the master key to success. So for you to write down your goals and make a plan and set priorities and start with your most important task takes tremendous self-discipline. If you haven't done it up to now, it's so hard. But Goethe said everything is hard before it's easy. And everything at the beginning is difficult, but later it becomes easy and automatic. You have to force yourself to discipline yourself at the beginning, but after that, it becomes easier, and you actually feel happy. Number 4 is constraints. Now, constraints is a concept that was developed in Tel Aviv by a management consultant many years ago, and it says that between where you are today and where you want to be sometime in the future, a goal, there is always one constraint or choke point that determines the speed at which you get from here to here. That's the constraint. So the art of life is to identify the constraints that are holding you back from achieving the goal that you want to achieve. And it could be something simple like finding a parking space. It could be something simple like getting your shopping done and so on. Continually ask, what is the constraint or limiting factor is what they call it, the limiting factor between here and where you want to go. So you say to yourself, all right, you want to achieve a particular goal. So you ask yourself, what is the one factor that determines the speed at which you achieve that goal? Other principles that we have, the number 4 is constraints. Number 5 is continuous learning and development, is dedicate yourself to becoming better and better at what you do. It must be a part of your life. You must breathe in, breathe out, and learn new things. Self-made millionaires, self-made billionaires spend 60 to 90 minutes every day studying their field, reading new material. Warren Buffett was just relegated from number 3 to number 4 richest man in the world, and Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Warren Buffett reads 5 to 8 hours a day. Warren Buffett reads 7 days a week. He reads all the time, and he's one of the richest men in the history of the world. And he and his partners all say the same thing: got to read and learn all the time. So just keep flooding your mind with new ideas. Number 6 is commitment. We know this because you talked about it a lot. Commitment is really important. There's no success without commitment, without you putting your whole heart into what you're doing and putting your whole heart into what you're doing for a long time. But if you do, there is no limit on what you can accomplish. As you get up in the morning and you make a decision that, by gum, I am going to this business no matter how long it takes or how many hours a day. And number 7 is courage. And courage Winston Churchill said, courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. And in courage, what you have is two parts. The first part of courage is the courage to begin, to launch, to take a chance, to face failure and rejection, to try something with a very great possibility that you will fail and you'll feel embarrassed and upset. Your self-esteem will go down and so on. But the second part of courage is persistence. It's the power to keep going and keep pushing yourself and driving yourself. And I had a transformation many years ago, which I will give to you. A woman that I was going out with before I was married, she asked me, Brian, she said, what is your best quality? And I thought about that, and I said, I think my best quality is that I never give up. And that's your best quality. She's a very insightful woman. I still remember, very intelligent. And so I've spoken to audiences like you, and I have found that that's true, because I never give up. And my children never give up. It's not in our vocabulary. We never think, we'll try something different, we'll try something new, we'll take the loss and so on, but we'll never give up. So how do you develop this unshakable quality of persistence, which will guarantee your success in life? Nothing stop you if you don't quit. If you don't quit, then the only alternative is you must succeed, and eventually you must succeed greatly. Well, the great rule, you become what you think about, but you become what you say to yourself. So what you do is you say to yourself these magic words. You say, I never give up.
The comfort zone is where people become comfortable doing what they're doing, and they don't like to change. So there's tremendous resistance to change in our society. 80% of the population finds reasons not to change, even if the change can be positive or beneficial. The second thing that holds people back is what is called learned helplessness. This is where people feel, I can't do it, cannot make a change because of the economy, because of the world, because of my company, because of my childhood. They are always thinking about excuses or reasons why they cannot change, why they cannot do something new or different. And the third enemy is what we call the path of least resistance, which is always looking for an easy way to achieve a result. But nothing worthwhile can be achieved easily. Everything worthwhile requires a long period of hard work, with many failures along the way. I can guarantee that many people who you asked for interviews told you no. They did not have time, they were too busy, they were not in town, or they weren't interested, or many of them did not even reply. They said to me, they did not even reply. Well, so what do? Do you become discouraged? Do you quit? No, you just persist. You just persist. And then someone says yes, someone else says yes. Anyway, about 5 years ago, I got a letter from a woman, and she was writing a book on time management. And she said, would I write a testimonial for her book? And I said, of course. I read her book, read the manuscript, good ideas. Of course, I will help. So I wrote a nice testimonial. And she wrote back and said, thank you very much. I was so happy to receive it. And I did not hear from her for about 3 or 4 years. And then she wrote back to me and she told me her story. She had spent 5 years teaching time management and then writing this book and then trying to get the book published. And she had an agent and she went to every publisher and they all said no, 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 no. And she had decided to give up. And then she received my testimonial in the mail saying, this is a really good book. You should read this. So she took this to her agent, her literary agent, who took it to the publisher. And the publisher said, if Brian Tracy says it's a good book, I will publish it. She published the book. It became a top seller, changed her life completely. She has now written 3 other books that have been published because this book was successful. She said, the day that I received your testimonial, I was going to quit because I had tried for so long and was unsuccessful. And I received that. You never know how one act of persistence can be what breaks through. You never know which one it will be. So you find successful people just always persist. Because one more from about 1884, where Mark Twain said, if the first thing you do in the morning is you eat a live frog, you will have the satisfaction of knowing that that's the worst thing that can happen to you all day long, is eating a live frog. Well, the live frog is your biggest and most important task. And if you start every day by doing your biggest and most important task completely, then you start your day off with tremendous energy. And all day long, you will be more productive. All day long, your mind will be sharp. You'll have more energy to stop procrastinating and get more things done faster. One idea is pick your most important task, like your most important goal that you work on each day. pick your most important task and complete it first thing in the morning. The greatest single obstacle to success and happiness in life is negative emotions, negative experiences that a person continues to think about. Well, it's interesting. In psychology, there is an expression called a sense of control. And people are happy when they feel they're in control of their lives. And people are unhappy when they feel they're out of control or controlled by other circumstances. So if I was to teach a course, and I have designed this in my mind many times, I would call it Success 101, a one-year course on success.
Well, you have to understand that there is a great power in the universe that is trying to get you the ideas you need to achieve your goals. So you go right back to, I want to increase my income. So I say to people, you want to double your income in the next 2 to 3 years? Everybody says yes. I say, well, it's a reasonable goal. A lot of people in this room will double their income in the next 2 or 3 years. So how do you do it? And I say, well, could you increase your productivity, because your income is determined by the value of your contribution, the results that you get for others that they will pay you for. They say, well, yes, so could you increase your productivity by 1/10% in one day? That's 1/1000th in a day. Could you be 1/1000th more productive in one day? And people say, well, of course, you could probably be twice as productive in one day if you just focused on your most important task and did only that. But let's just say 1/1000th. We're not talking about 100%, we're talking about 1/1000th. Having done it for the first day, could you do it for the second day? Yes. Could you do it for the third day? I mean, if you were really determined. If you had a gun to your head, could you do it? Yes. So you could do it for 5 days. Well, that would be 1/2%. Do you think you could be 1/2% more productive over the course of an entire week? They say, well, of course. 1/2%. Could you do it for the next 4 weeks? Now, there's 13 4-week months in a year, 52 weeks divided by 4. So, having done it for a month, that's 2% more productive in a whole month. Could you do it for the next month? And the answer is yes, because now you're getting into the rhythm of better productivity, you're learning new skills, you're managing your time better, and so on. If you do this for an entire year, at the end of the year, you'll be 26% more productive. That's without compounding. Could you do that? Could you do that if you really wanted to? If your life depended upon it, could you do it? Yes, of course. Well, having done it for the first year, could you do it for the second year? And they say, well, yes, of course, because now you're into the rhythm. It's easier and easier. It's like skiing. You go faster and faster and faster. You develop what is called the momentum principle of success. Could you do it for 10 years? Well, 26% compounded over 10 years is 1,004%. So you'd increase your productivity, performance, and output, and your results by 10 times in 10 years. So you'd increase your income 10 times as well. And people will line up at your door to hire you at 10 times what you're earning today, because you are so valuable and so productive. And people say, And I say, I just told you, that's what everybody does. Everybody who's earning 10 times as much as you did not do it in a big leap. If it's a big leap, it gets into the newspapers. But the people who are doing really well did it incrementally. It's called the law of incremental improvement, or the law of accumulation. Every great success is an accumulation of many little, tiny efforts that nobody ever sees or appreciates. But they start to accumulate like a snowball. They start to build up and build up. And over the course of years, the person is more and more productive. And when you're looking for ideas, you'll have ideas that will help you to be more productive. I could do this and I could do that. And you read this article. Oh, that's a great article. Sometimes you just find one idea that will cause your life to go off into a different direction, change it completely. But you never know what the idea is going to be, so you must bombard your mind with many ideas. Just knowing that the right idea will come to you at the right time. Yeah. And it always does. It always does if you will just keep being open to new ideas. Now, the eat the frog concept comes from a story where they say the first thing that you do in the morning is you eat a live frog. You'll have the satisfaction of going through the day knowing that's probably the worst thing that can happen to you, is eating a live frog. And the two corollaries of this principle are, if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. Now, the frog is your biggest task. It's the one you're most likely to procrastinate on. It's also the one that will have the greatest positive impact on your career if you do it now. And so if you have 2 really important tasks, do the most important one. We say do the worst first. Do the biggest, ugliest one. And the second corollary is that if you have to eat a frog at all, it does not pay to sit and look at it for too long. So what you do is you start on that task. Now, when I've done this talk, or part of this talk, for corporations, very often they will go out and they will have brass frogs made up for all their executives. And the brass frog sits on the executive's desk. And it sits there so when they come into work, the first thing they see is the frog. Or they plan their day and they put the frog on top of the plan. First thing they see is the frog, and it reminds them, start and do the worst first. Do the task that has the biggest ramifications first. And then discipline yourself to work single-mindedly at that task. No matter what happens, if you get pulled away, keep coming back to the task like a gyroscope. Keeps coming back to center. Keep on that task because you've now decided that everything else is a relative waste of time except this task. It doesn't mean they're a waste of time, but relatively in comparison with this task, everything else is secondary, of course. If you can do that and develop the habit of doing that, you will double your productivity the first day, and it will just continue to increase for the rest of your career. You will be so productive, you'll get so much done, you'll get more responsibilities, you'll get more opportunities. But here's the wonderful thing. Everybody wants to feel like a winner. Everybody wants to feel like a winner. So how do you get the winning feeling? Simple answer, you win. Okay, how do you win? Well, you cross the finish line first. Now, fortunately, in life, what successful people do, and I learned this after many years, it's so important, is they set up finish lines for themselves that they can cross. And so, if you complete a task of any value, it's like winning a little bit, and you feel like a winner. You start, you work, you complete the task. You feel happy, because whenever you win, your brain releases endorphins, and endorphins are called nature's happy drug, and they make you feel happy, and your self-esteem goes up, and your self-confidence goes up, and you feel happier and more personable. You're actually a more charming person, believe it or not. When you set up a task and you complete it, you feel like a winner, your endorphins go up, your self-esteem improves, your self-confidence goes up. Now, if you have a list of tasks to do, and you choose to do your most important task, and you complete it, you get a rush. It's called an endorphin rush. Like that, and your brain releases endorphins which flood your system and make you actually feel exhilarated. You almost laugh out loud. You're happy. Your heart rate goes up. You're smiling. Sometimes you will stay and will work late at night to complete a task, and you get it done at 2 or 3 in the morning, and you finish it, and even though you should be exhausted, you're happy. You can't sleep. You're walking around. You watch television. Because you feel great. So what do winners do? Is they recreate this feeling over and over until it becomes a positive addiction. And the AB formula says simply this. In all the work you have to do, there are 2 types of tasks. There are A tasks that move you toward your most important goals, doubling your income, improving your lifestyle, increasing your sales and marketing. There are B tasks that do not move you towards your goals, conversations, playing with the internet, reading the paper, going for lunch. In many cases, they move you away from your goals. So here's the rule. Do only A tasks. Do not do B tasks at all. If you will do only A tasks, the tasks that move you toward what you say you want, only those tasks, and then you do the tasks that move you the fastest toward what you want, your most important task, you will have a wonderful life. But most people, 80% or more of people, spend their entire days on B tasks. Tasks that are fun, small, irrelevant, useless, make no contribution to their careers, and they don't understand why 10 years have gone by and their income has gone up at the rate of inflation. Whereas the people who've been working on A tasks, their income goes up and up and up. People eagerly pay them more money because they are so valuable. The law of 3 says that no matter how many things you do, how many tasks you do in a week or a month, and it's usually 20 or 30, 3 of those tasks account for 90% of your value. Only 3. And you make a list of all of your tasks, and I do this with my business owners, and I have them go through this, and they're astonished. And they double their income within 30 days. Because I ask them the 3 magic questions. Magic question number 1. If you could only do one thing on this list, one task on this list, all day long, which one task would have the greatest positive impact on your career? Which one task? Well, it'll usually pop. It'll jump out at you. So you put a circle around it. Then you say, if you could only do 2 things all day long, which would be number 2? And you put a circle around that. If you could only do 3 things all day long, which would be number 3? Put a circle around that. And suddenly, it's almost like all these other tasks fade. Like in a camera shoot, in a movie, they fade, and those 3 tasks are sitting there, like those 3 magic tasks, and you realize, oh my God, Those are my big three. Everything else is secondary. Everything else can be done by someone else, or done later, or not done at all. And then you focus on the three. So here's the rule for doubling your income, and doubling it again, and doubling it again. Do fewer things, but do more important things, and do them more often, and get better at them. Repeat. Do fewer things, the big three. Do more important things. Do more of them. Spend more of your day working on those three tasks, and then get better at those tasks so you can get more of them done faster at a higher level of quality. If you will practice the law of three, you'll transform your life. If you combine that with the eat the frog and work on your most important task, the one that can contribute the most value, and you can do that until it becomes a habit, just automatic. You get up in the morning and you just start work on your most important task, and you say, no, I don't do that. I don't do little tasks. Those are not my job. People say, what about this, what about that? I say, excuse me, I'm management, not labor. I do management tasks. I do my big three. Labor does all these other things. They go, ho. So you, person who's watching this right now, is your management, not labor. Think of yourself as management and do your three tasks. If you can do that until it becomes a habit, you're going to conquer the world.